Hi, my name is Bree and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Can you guys believe that I actually do not own any Halloween shirts? Like, I have a Halloween legging, but I don't have any shirts. So that's why I figured I would put my Akati robe on and headband, make it Halloweenish, because this video, as you cannot already tell, is going to be Halloween themed, more like along the lines of spooky, supernatural, and horror book recommendations. So I have a bunch of different categories that I'm going to recommend to you guys. The books that I did thoroughly enjoy, they're probably like 3 stars and up. The first category we're going to start with is we're going to start by age group. So we're going to start with like middle grade. The first book I want to talk about is Dust and Grim by Chuck Wendon. So this book follows 2 siblings. So the one sibling, the brother, the oldest brother, he owned a funeral home. So his father passed away unexpectedly and he inherited it. So then the younger sister, she finds out about it and she wants to be part of it. She wants the money. So they have the option whether to sell it or continue running the funeral home. She wants to sell it, he does not. So one day she showed up on the doorstep of the funeral home with her uncle, who happened to be her father's brother. And so she moved in because she's like, well, I own this funeral home as well. Like, I'm gonna move in. You know, go girl. So she moved in. She noticed that there's a bunch of weird supernatural things happening with the funeral home that just doesn't make sense in the normal, ordinary human world. Turned out it's a funeral home for monsters. So that's a nice twist, and it's also very interesting. I really connected with this character, the young girl, because she is a cosplayer, and when I read this book, I was a full-blown cosplayer. You know, making TikToks and everything like that. Not gonna talk about that. But I really connected with her and I was like, oh, that is so cool. I never read about a character who was a cosplayer. So I ate this book up. This was an instant favorite of mine, top 10 favorite books. I highly do recommend reading it, even though it is for middle graders. It does read like it's in middle grade, but it's just a good time. I recommend it for spooky season. The next up for middle grade, continuing, is Bedtime Story, Grave Thiefess by Antoinette and Gina Catrone. So I actually got this book when I was in middle school. Yes, I was in middle school when this book came out. You know what, let me check the year because I'm actually very curious. Yes, 2011. I was still in middle school. I was 11 years old. Funny story behind this is my dad actually knew one of the authors. I don't remember which sister it was, but he ended up getting this book and he gave it to me. He's like, well, I think you will enjoy it. So I was like, cool. And you know what? I haven't read this book in years, but it's still fresh in my mind. Look, the last time I probably read this book was probably 10 years ago, but it's still one of my favorites. What happened is that this group of kids, they end up kicking a ball into like this creepy like old house, like creepy like neighbor. So the ball gets stuck and they have to go get the ball. So the main character, she ends up going over the fence to get the ball. She thought she was in the clear, but nope, she was not. So there was like these creepy figures in the book, and it's just very chilling, spine chilling, like, ooh, that's scary. Of course, since this is middle grade, it's not going to be super scary like adult horror, but I remember being 11 years old reading this in the middle of the night and I was like shitting my pants. And even now, I would probably still shit my pants. You know what, I think I'm going to reread this book after all these years. But yes, I'm going to reread this book and I can guarantee you I will probably shit my pants because I am really bad with horror books. So this one, I don't really know how to classify it. So I'm going to say it's more along the line, possibly young adult, but younger adult. So this book is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. So this book, I originally watch the movie first. I watched the movie, I think it was Disney Channel, Disney, Nick, one of those. And I loved the movie. It was so good. But like I picked up this book, and this book was a lot creepier than the movie. I think the movie, they really dialed it back a little bit because, like, you know, like probably younger kids were watching it. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was in elementary school, so yeah. But a lot creepier than the movie. To me, I feel like the book was better than the movie. And so we follow, if you're not familiar with the story, we follow Coraline. She moved into the like apartment in like this big like house. She finds a creepy door. She goes through the door. She meets the other mother, the other father, and the other mother essentially wants to trap her in that world. That's what the story is about. Same thing as the movie, but there's some like minor changes which I'm not gonna spoil. But yeah, really loved it. So creepy. Also shit in my pants in the middle of the night reading this, but you know, it was a good time. So now we're gonna move along to young adult. So the next book I want to talk about is Spellbound by F.T. Lucan. So this book is one of my favorites. I probably bragged about it on his channel before, but if you haven't watched any of my other videos, then I'm just gonna brag about it here. So we follow Rook. Okay, so it's in dual point of view. So the first one we're gonna talk about is Rook. So we follow Rook. He lost his grandmother, who happened to be like a spellcaster. She had magic. She can touch into like the magical line. I forget exactly what they're called, but they can touch into the magical line. Only people that had magic can see it, touch into it, grab the power from it. So he kicked out of this magical community because he does not have any magical powers, and he's devastated. He wants to get back into that world because he does not like, I guess you want to call it like the regular human world. So he decided to fake his way to become an apprentice to the one and only Antonia Heck. So she's this powerful spellcaster, and she's also like on the government like watch list. So, you know, some trouble brewing there. And then in the other point of view, we follow Stun. They have magical power. They're already an apprentice to one of Antonia's arch nemesis, but they're not really nemesis, really. They just hate each other, but they secretly love each other, and I secretly ship them so hard. So we follow Stun, and we follow like their feeling towards Rook. So essentially, their masters, they get taken away, and they team up to work together to get their masters back and to, you know, take down a corrupt government organization, which is awesome. I just love this book so much. Just read it. So it's not as creepy as probably all the other books on this list, but yeah, it has magical elements, supernatural elements, so I'm gonna include it. So up next, this book, Together We Rot by Styla Arnen, and I recently just read this book. So this was one of my books that I was reading for October. It's like a new YA fantasy, horror, supernatural. What did I even classify it as? It does not say what it's classified as, so that's what I'm taking my guess at. So this book has a lot of like supernatural elements. It has a lot of like religious cult that we're trying to take down. We have like a group of like, I guess like they're like older teenagers. Yeah, they're older teenagers. So we get a group of like older teenagers that come together to try and solve this mystery in the town. And the religious cult takes over the town, small town obviously. So everyone knows each other. Like the group parents, some of them are like in the cult, but yeah. So Elwood, his parents are, his father's the pastor of this religious cult, and the mother, I don't know what her official title is, but she's very like heavily involved. So they're very controlling. They're waiting for him to turn 18. So when he turns 18, he has to kind of like take over the church in a way. But it doesn't So, like, that's all I'm going to say for now, because if I say anything more about that, then it's probably going to spoil it for you. It's amazing what it turned out, why they need him for. So, yeah, so anyways, so Will, the girl here, she unfortunately lost her mother. Her mother was missing. We don't know if she was murdered, if she was kidnapped, if she was just up and left. But she believed that Elwood and his parents had something to do with it. So they ended up having a falling out. I should also claim that they were best friends. So after that, they ended up having a falling out. But then after Elwood does not want to kind of like follow his parents' footsteps with the church, he ended up running away. And Will is the only person that he can trust. So the two of them team up together to kind of like take down his family and the religious cult and figure out like the mystery behind like the cult and her mother. And there's also like a bit of a romance aspect of it, so they end up falling in love with each other. It just, I would say it's like, it starts out as a slow burn, but then but the romance came out of left field for me. But I was not a fan of the romance, but I was really much of a fan like of the world that was created and just the writing style, just like the writing, the beautiful prose of this book. But yeah, really recommend if you want to creep, get this book. So the last one I'm going to talk about for the YA category is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I don't see this book talked about as much as it should be, and it's such a damn shame. I ate this book up. I ate it up. So basically, this book it's not like horror necessarily, but I would say it's more supernatural. And there's monsters, there's magic involved, there's like the Arthurian legend involved. So we follow Bree, who's on the cover, and also my name. So yeah, of course, I love this book. The Bree's mother, the Bree right here, not me Bree, this Bree. She ended up having to go to a university where her mother attended when her mother was still alive. So the mother died in a tragic accident. So she wanted to go to the university to know like a little bit more about her mother, to find out possibly like what could have happened to her, like why did the car accident happen, etc. So she ended up going to this university, and the first night on campus, her and her new roommate, and I think her new roommate and her best friend, they sneak off to a party, and at this party they are attacked by like a supernatural monster. So of course she's like, what the hell? What am I getting myself into? So then as the story progresses, she ends up finding out that she has powers, that she has this ancestral powers that ran in her family. And she soon finds out that her mother also had the same powers, but she never knew that her mother had these powers. So, she's a little upset, like, oh, like, why didn't my mother tell me this? So she meets with one of the school, I think it's the counselors, and she kind of helped Bree and like learn about her powers and stuff. And then also in the school, there is like called the Legendborn like society. So like this society is like the Arthurian legend comes in, and where like supernatural powers come in, and like it's like a secret cult in the school. Like it's like very hard to get into, but she got in, and she believed that this group had something to do with her mother being killed. So, she was going to go investigate. And she also fell in love with one of the main characters. This book has monsters, supernatural, it's creepy. I recommend this book. So up next we're going to talk about Azul. So what I want to bring up is Mexican Dark Gothic by Sylvia Morano-Garcia. And this book, I'm sure you guys know all about it, but I'm just going to give a brief summary of what this book is. So we follow Naomi. She goes to like this house where her cousin is ill. The cousin sent her like a very worrying letter, so she decided to go and investigate it. So the cousin ends up marrying into this family, and I'm going to say that this family, they're creepy. There's something totally off about them, and it's just like, what the hell is up with this family, the house, and the neighbors. One of the biggest rules in like the house is that she cannot leave unless she to be accompanied by any one of the family members. So to me that raised a red flag, of course, but she ends up bonding with one of the relatives of this family, and he, you know, gives her like a ride into town when she needs it, helped her kind of like escape the house. The house is very like claustrophobic for her, and she also cannot visit her cousin. So her cousin is supposed to be resting, and she wants to be with her cousin like 24/7 because obviously like, yo, like my cousin's like practically dying over here and I can't see her and I'm in the same house as her. So the mother of the family, of the household, she's like, you can't see her unless it's supervised and unless I'm there and unless like certain times of the day. But of course Naomi tries to sneak and see her cousin. But anyway, obviously something very often wrong with the house. So the house has like this curse, and apparently, and like this whole big like mystery and trying to figure out like what's up with this house and what's up with this place and family. So there's a lot of supernatural elements, there's a lot of like horror, creepy feeling, not like but like ugh, those kind of feelings. So that's why I'm adding this book to the list. It was one of my favorite reads and I might reread it soon. So next up is Stellar by Natasha Preston. So I read this book so long ago, I think back in middle school too, when I was in middle school I read this. And this book, it was actually originally on Wattpad. So I read it for free, but you know, like this book spoke so much to me then that I went out and bought a copy. So we followed the main character, Lily. She ended up getting kidnapped and held hostage by this crazy man, and she also has like 3 other, I don't know how to describe them. Roten called them siblings, but like these 3 other girls are with her, but they have to act like their sibling, like their family. So the kidnapper, he named all of them flowers. As you can tell, Lily is not her actual name, it's the name that the kidnapper gave her. So basically, these 4 girls have to find a way to escape this man. And while that's happening, like on the outside, like Lily's boyfriend is trying to find her and her family is trying to find her. They're not giving up on it. And yeah, so essentially this book has a lot of like, it's very heavy. It's not for the lighthearted. I would definitely say this is a horror, though, you know, I would be cautious while reading this. So this one's not really a horror book. This is more of a supernatural book. But I'm going to recommend it anyways because I freaking love this book. So, Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. So this book follows multiple characters. So what happened is there's like a lot of, there's like this time break in this, I guess it's like kind of like a stimulation, like that, leaning towards that way, like life is a stimulation, like time warp, kind of like intertwining, which is, I don't know how to exactly describe it, but that's the best I could describe it. So we follow this one guy who's like hundreds of years in the future, and he ends up going back in time and traveling and trying to figure out like why is this break happening in this one particular area during this one particular time. So we learn kind of like all the little elements that are part of that, and then at the end it kind of all makes sense. This is not something that you can easily pick up the first time you read it, but after you read it like a second and third time, then it's like, oh my god, that's crazy, it all connects like that. So I'm not going to go too much more into the detail because it's so confusing to talk about, and honestly, like, it's definitely something, but it has the supernatural element, and it has, I don't want to say horror, but I would say more like mystery and suspense. Yeah, I definitely will include it. Yeah, so that's it for today's video, book recommendations of horror and supernatural for the spooky season of mangas. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any other recommendations that you would recommend. I would love to know. And if you're not already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And while you're at it, don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Until next time, I will see you guys then.